We are live here on the Black
Hey,
Motivation broadcast. We're here with Lindani, mindset leadership coach, spoken word artist extraordinaire, and we are so very excited to have you on the broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
no, thank you. Thank you for having me, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
For sure, for sure. Well, now we had that little introduction, got that out the way. Let's hop straight into this interview because I know it's late in the UK.
Yeah.
Okay? I know it's late over there. So we're going to hop straight into this interview. So, as a leadership mindset coach and a spoken word artist, you are a very, just truly inspiring person. And your reach is just incredible, right? The things that you're able to share, the words that you're able to inspire people with. So, what inspired you to start writing spoken word and to start coaching others?
Thank you for that question. That question definitely is going to wake me up for sure, or keep me
Yes.
awake.
Yes.
I think for me, poetry became an outlet for me. It became my way of understanding my own thoughts. It became my way of self-elevation and self-preservation.
Yes.
It became a way that I discovered what could become of myself.
Hmm.
You see, I got into poetry because I got into a debate with one of my friends. This is back in college days. This is years ago, like 13 years ago, and the debate was around using the N word.
Oh, wow.
Someone walked around and used the N word, and I was
Hmm.
furious.
Hmm.
And he was like, "There's nothing wrong with that, it's okay, And
Oh,
I was like, "No, it's not okay. This is
right.
problematic, right?"
Right.
So we went got into an endless battle. So I was like, what?
Hmm.
I just went back in the library and I just started writing a poem. And since then I've been writing. So
That's so awesome. Sometimes out of our most turbulent times, we get the most inspiration, right?
yeah,
Out of some of our, our hardest trials, our hardest moments, come the most beautiful words and the
yeah,
most inspirational thoughts, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I can truly appreciate, I thank you for sharing that story. And so, what do your inspirations come from now? Like, what inspires you now to write poetry?
I mean, different things to be fair. I think right now I am more in like a healing phase. I'm really trying to
Mm.
create the kind of poetry and the kind of art that heals. I feel like the world is going through a very interesting time, a very different time. And for me, I take on that information of what's happening and I try to turn it into medicine. So
Yeah.
so all my inspiration right now is from looking at what's happening around me, the good and the
Mm.
bad, and then trying to create a concussion almost for society. But my motivation is coming from everywhere at the moment, to be fair.
Wow. That's so awesome. They say that like art is medicine, right? Whether it's music or poetry or singing, there's definitely benefits to creating as well as partaking in and listening to and indulging in art. So I definitely
Hmm.
want to say I appreciate you for what you share, especially on Instagram. Like what I see just looks beautiful. So I definitely
Thank
appreciate
you.
that
I
from you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so, if you could go back to the beginning of your career, right? When you
Mhm.
first started coaching, for example, and when you
Yeah.
first started writing, like you do
Mhm.
now, what would you
Mhm.
tell yourself and why?
Um, I'll tell myself a few things.
Okay.
um, I definitely won't change anything that's happened for sure. I'll tell myself
Mm,
to be patient with self. I will tell
yes.
myself that it's not about the destination, in terms of an end goal or a last point or the last
Mm,
bus stop. It's more about who am I becoming to the most minuscule thing.
yes.
Who am I becoming as an individual?
Okay.
You know, I will be telling myself to be more aware of who I was becoming. I will tell myself to be more aware of the need to be patient with self, to understand self, and also
Yes.
the need to not put one in a box. Because I think growing up at the beginning of my writing stages, I was putting myself in a box. because the world tries to put you in the box. You see, you're a black
Okay.
man, you're African, you're it's a box, and I was in that box for a very long time.
Mm.
And if I were to go back, I'd tell me don't be in the box.
Yes. And I want to thank everyone who's tuning in with us. This is the Black Motivation Broadcast, and here with UK based spoken word artist and mindset leadership coach, Lindani. You can follow him at I am Lindani on Instagram, and we're going to find out a little bit more about where else you can find him later. But we're just going to hop straight back into this interview after that short announcement. So, what are some of your favorite moments from your career? What are some of the favorite things that you remember that you've done or experienced?
I think I think the thing that really stands out to me is I had the opportunity to speak to a young person. I
Okay.
mean, I love speaking to young people in general, but I had this opportunity to speak to one particular young person,
Yes.
and the young person has had a very difficult couple of years,
Mm,
and they were using their story in a way that wasn't opening doors for them. It was closing doors for them. It
mm.
seemed like it was
Wow.
opening doors, but it wasn't opening doors. It was falling
Yes.
along the lines of stereotypes. And
Wow.
I was able to have a conversation that got him to see the power of his story and how he could use it and use that story to open doors for himself and not basically use it as a hammer, but use it as a glue to put things together, to put his future together. Because sometimes we use our pain and our story as a hammer and it destroys instead of creating more avenues. I think that's one thing that stood
Mm,
out for me because that experience there brought an awakening in terms of just storytelling and how you can use your story to either open doors or close doors.
yes, I totally agree. You know, you can either motivate and uplift in the way that you talk about your story,
Yeah,
or and inspire, or you can depress both yourself and others using the
yeah,
same exact story.
exactly, exactly.
So I completely understand that. And so transitioning to more about leadership, because you are a mindset leadership coach, how
Yeah.
do you define a strong leader?
So when I think of a leader, I think about instantly think about leadership. I know sometimes we try to put them together and sometimes we try and separate them. Um, I focus more on the leadership than the word leader itself because I think leader is
Okay.
a leader can be you're a leader because you have a title. You're a leader because you feel like you're a man, or you're a leader because you feel like you're a mother. You're a leader because you feel like you're the CEO of a company, right? So
Yes.
not to put that down in any shape or form, but you have to have a platform and a
Sure.
title for you to be that leader, right? But leadership really and truly is not so much
Yes.
more about your position, it's about the positions you create for others. So you don't have to have a title to
Hey.
create positions for
Hey.
others. Do you see what I mean? And that put the
Yes. Say
and
that
that
again for the people in the back.
so leadership essentially is not about position, but it's about the positions you create for others. And the positions you create for others
Right.
is how you make people feel, how you make people believe in themselves,
Mhm.
hope, sympathy, staying persistent, upliftment, giving a different idea and perspective,
Yes.
bringing light to darkness. So for me, leadership
Yes.
is a software. It really is a software. Being a leader is a hardware. You need a position to be that, but leadership is a software, meaning it's available to everyone at every point in time.
Mm.
Yeah,
Hey, okay, sir, better talk that talk, okay? Better educate us on what a leader and leadership really is all about. Thank you. And anyone who's on the live, if you guys have any questions for Lindani about leadership, about spoken word, definitely hop on here and share them in the comments, and we're going to get to you as soon as we see them. So I want to see them so we can get to you. And
exactly.
so, talk to us a little bit about the pandemic. How has it affected you over the past year, and how have you been staying encouraged?
I mean, I didn't really see it as a pandemic. I didn't really see it as a lockdown. Um, I actually saw it as a retreat. I saw it as
Mm,
I was like, okay, I am aware. I'm aware of, people losing their lives and the impact of it,
Mhm.
very much so. But for me in particular, I was like, this is time for me to catch up. This is time for me
Yeah.
to read those books I never had a chance to read. This is time for me to improve in
Yes.
my poetry. This is time for me to do things like this. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm working from home. If I wasn't working from home, I couldn't be up at this time of the night, So I saw it as
Right.
an
Yes.
opportunity. I saw it as a real opportunity. So for me, it was not a pandemic, number one. Number two was not a lockdown. For me, it was time for me to work on self and take advantage of the slow down in time.
Yes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, for a lot of people, we have differing opinions and differing, experiences when it comes to the pandemic. But, for introverts especially, and people who like to plan, people like to think, this was a time for us to get away, right? And really process and really, think about the things that are happening. And Brother
Yeah.
Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. He has a question, two questions for you, Lindani. First one is share the most challenging part about leadership, and the second part of the question is how you overcame it. If you could share an example or a story.
That's a very good question. I think the most challenging part of leadership for me is being the leader that I speak of, being the leader
Mm,
that my wife can be happy about or happy with, my sisters, my friends, the people that don't see me as someone that's on stage.
yeah.
That's the biggest challenge. It's very easy to go out there and speak to people who
Mm,
don't know you and share an idea or a concept or a notion.
mm,
But being it, that's why for me, leadership is about a state of mind. Being it, sometimes reacting in a way and you instantly have to rectify with loved ones. If it's a stranger,
yeah.
you might see things to lose in status and things of that nature. But if it's family, being in that constant awareness of being a leader is a state of mind, reminding yourself of that. How could I best respond to my wife? How best can I respond to my siblings? How best can I show them love? How can I support them? How can I communicate with them? How
Yeah.
can I uplift their spirit? The biggest challenge is transforming self, because all of those things we probably had when we were kids. But as you grow older, society changes and a lot of things happen, and you shift in how you see things and how you behave. Now, with this notion of leadership, creating positions for others, it's a challenge,
Yeah. It is.
right? So that's my biggest challenge. And how I deal with it is this: I remind myself of this. My wife keeps me in check. I have loved ones and brothers that keep me in check. And
Yes.
also, I remind myself of purpose. I remind myself of why I am doing what I'm doing. I have to constantly do this. It's a continuous process. It never stops. It's never a thing where, oh, I'm good today and I'm fine today, and tomorrow will sort itself out. No, I have to constantly have clarity, constantly rewire, constantly talk to myself, constantly engage.
Yes. So true. We have to constantly engage with that part of us that tells us, when we're a little off the mark,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah,
when we're going down a path that we need not, right?
yeah,
That leader
yeah,
inside of us and that leadership quality that's inside of us
yeah.
will rise up and tell us,
Yeah.
and so right now, sir, we're gonna have a new section of the Black Motivation broadcast. But before we get to that, Brother Anthony says, yes, indeed, thank you, brother. I definitely lean on my circle as well, especially my wife, so he can relate to
Thank you, brother.
to
Thank
that,
you. I
like
appreciate you,
in
bro.
being
Thank
a
you, bro.
leader.
Thank you.
Yes. And so the new section of the Black Motivation broadcast is the rapid fire questions, y'all. We're going to ask 4 questions in rapid succession. You get 2 seconds to answer. Don't think about it. Just give me an answer. And you're going to be choosing between 2 things. I know you're sleepy, so this is going to be fun.
No, I'm awake
So
now.
are you
Listen,
ready?
we're talking about leadership and poetry. I'm awake. Listen, I'm awake now, so it's all
Now
good.
we're awake. All right. So to start off, we had the verses this week with the Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Who do you choose? Isley Brothers or Earth, Wind, and Fire? Who's your favorite? Go.
I couldn't choose any because I didn't know about them until you mentioned them.
I'm gonna answer for you. Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's gonna be your homework. That's gonna be your homework.
Okay, we'll do.
Ketchup or mayonnaise? Ketchup or
Oh, mayo,
mayonnaise?
mayo any day.
If you had
Oh
to
man,
choose between ketchup or mayonnaise.
mayo, mayonnaise any day.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay.
Yeah, I'm a mayo guy. I can't have
So
anything without mayo.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jackson.
All right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Whitney Houston or Bobby Brown's music? Who would you choose? Whitney Houston
Oh,
or Bobby
Whitney.
Brown?
Come on, man. Whitney. Jesus. Whitney for
Whitney,
sure.
Whitney, Whitney.
Whitney. Yeah.
That was too simple, too easy, right?
Too easy. Too
All right,
easy.
all right. Well, unfortunately, we have reached the end of this week's episode. We just have a couple more questions left. But before we let you go, what words of motivation would you like to leave our audience with on this week's episode?
Give me a word that has really stood out to you this week, and let's see if we can play around with
Hmm.
something. A word that's elevating.
Hmm. For me,
Yeah, from you. Just give me a word.
a word that's really stuck out to me this week. I like the word because I think it describes you very well. And
Hmm.
in my encounters with you on social media and our in conversation today, inspired, inspirational. That's going to be my word.
Inspirational. Okay, so
Inspirational.
I'm gonna try and do a quick poem using that word.
Yay.
Um, so yeah. Hmm. You know, in the UK, we've been in lockdown for just over a year, and in that year, there was pain, there was doubt, there was sickness, there was fear. But from all of those things, we never let ourselves go. We never let ourselves fold. We never let the music of the time, of the moment, of the era,
Mm,
to take away instruments, sounds, sound waves, winds that have played centuries before, that have given us healing, motivation, inspiration. We've graduated from just seeking inspiration, but being it, recharging it,
mm,
sharing it, shaping it, defying it. Inspiration has become our new currency, our new language, our new hey, what's up? How you doing? Inspiration has become the gateway for new ideas, for new formations, for gentlemen, great women, kings and queens. You see, inspiration has become a great friend, you see. So Ashley, thank you for having me. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. And so, after that awesome poem that you just shared, you've got to tell us what's coming up next and how we can find, support, and follow you on social media and the web.
So I'm working on a project called Voices of Victory. It's a poetry collective. The whole idea is for just to heal, for it to encourage and inspire and motivate. And it's coming out in May. Um, so there will be a private listening event that I'm putting together on the 21st of
Mm,
May. So if anybody wants to be selected for it, please go ahead and just go on my website, iamlindani.com, and just subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my page on my website. But you can find me anywhere. If you just type in Lindani or I am Lindani, you'll find me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff. I have a few videos I just released this year on YouTube, so feel free to check it out. And but yeah, thank you. This has been great.
thank you, Lindani. This has been such an awesome, inspirational episode, and I'm so grateful that you have been on here. So I'm using that inspirational word again. That's our word for this evening. And thank you for bringing it to the Black Motivation broadcast.
Most welcome, most welcome, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep being a light. Keep encouraging those voices. Keep using your gift of interaction to continue to impact the world, and every little step you take is adding on to a bigger purpose. So keep doing what you're doing, Ashley, and well done.
Thank you. I so appreciate you. Well, this has been an awesome episode of the Black Motivation Podcast, but y'all, unfortunately, we are out. Thank you for joining us. Bye bye.